Hello friends, welcome to Dnyanadeep Academy's UPSC answer writing program. Today we're going to discuss a question from UPSC GS paper 3. This question is from Science and Technology. Looking at the question, you'll see the question is very big. Most of the students, just by looking at the question, would skip this question. But believe me, this is a very easy question which you can attempt. Why? Because in this question, you straight away have all the clear-cut focuses where you have to write. Okay. Now, instead of taking this on the slide, I'll straight away show you which of the part in this question are focuses. Now, what is the main task of India's third moon mission is your first focus, right? Which could not be achieved in its earlier mission. Now, this is in comparison to Chandrayaan 2, which was not a success, right? Because we could not soft land on the moon. So this is your first focus. What is the main task? Then which could not, list the countries that have achieved this task. Clear and crisp. You just have to note the countries which have achieved this feat. This is your second focus. Then introduce the subsystems in the spacecraft launched and explain the role of the virtual launch control center at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So you have to note all the subsystems that were launched. This is your third focus, and you'll also have to tell what is the role of virtual launch control center at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So you have 4 different parts in this question, and all 4 are your focuses. So when you have a clear-cut directed questions, writing introductions and conclusion becomes easy. Okay. So how would you start this answer? How would your introduction be, or how it should be? Now, when I'm writing the introduction, I'm already starting to answer the question. Why? See, in 2020-23, India became the 4th nation because they've already asked us how many countries have achieved this feat. So I'm already mentioning here that India is the 4th nation to achieve a soft landing on the lunar south pole in its third moon mission, that is Chandrayaan 3. And also becoming the first country in the world to achieve soft landing on the southern pole of the moon. All the countries, Soviet Union, US or China, all have soft landed on the moon, but they have not targeted the southern pole of the moon. So in this crisp introduction, I'm mentioning almost all the points that are necessary. Now, it showcased India's technological capabilities and also contributed significantly to lunar research, especially in confirming the presence of water ice. Now, this is what we had found out in the previous missions to moon, Chandrayaan 1 and the Chandrayaan 2. Now, this is building upon the research that we have successfully done in the first 2 missions. Now, this is how your introduction should be. Okay, so you're already starting to answer the focuses right from your introduction. Okay, now in the body, we'll have to first write the first focus, main task of Chandrayaan 3, which could not be achieved in the earlier missions, are as follows. Which were the main tasks? Very easy and clear. The first task was lunar south pole exploration. So India is the first country to land on the southern pole of the moon. So that was the first task. The successful soft landing. This was not successful in the second mission, that is Chandrayaan 2. We could not successfully land on the moon. So this was the main task, soft landing on the moon. And Pragyan rover deployment for exploration on the surface of the moon. So these were the 3 main tasks under this mission Chandrayaan 3. So let's make it more crisp because the question is so big, though it is for 250 words. But considering the time, you cannot go writing on and on about these tasks. You will have to very briefly mention what were the main tasks that this mission Chandrayaan 3 had. Now, the second focus is countries that have achieved this task. Already in the introduction, we have given the hint that India was the 4th country, or 3 countries have successfully done this. So which are these countries? If you go chronologically, Soviet Union was the first country who landed on the moon. Then they had 2 missions. Now, Lunar 2 mission was the first human-made object to reach the moon in 1959, but it crash landed. Then again, we had Luna 9 in 1966, which became the first to achieve a soft landing. exactly the way Chandrayaan-3 achieved, right? Then comes USA. USA in 1969 in this Apollo 11 mission successfully landed on the moon. So mention the year, mention the name of the mission. It makes more things more clear. Then third is China. China Chang'e 3, which landed in 2013, right? China became the third country to soft land on the moon. Later, Chang'e 4, it also became a success. It made history by landing on the far side of the moon in 2019. Again, very briefly, you'll have to list the countries that have achieved this feat before India. Now, this was the second focus of the question. Third, what are the subsystems in the spacecraft launched? Now, this, because it is technical, most of the students would think it is very complicated. But remember, because you have so many focuses in the question, so many issues to address in the question, you're not supposed to write detail about all these payloads. You just have to mention the name and very briefly tell what it is meant for. Now, for example, the first payload that we see is Chandra's surface thermophysical experiment, that is CHASTE. Now, even if you write CHASTE, it is okay. You'll also have to write the function of this payload to measure thermal conductivity and temperature. Similarly, instrument for lunar seismic activity, ILSA, for what? To measure the seismic frequencies around the landing site. Okay, if you go on the website of ISRO, you'll see a lot of payloads were put on the lander as well as the rover. Not necessary you should write every payload that is given here. Just the main payloads also can be mentioned here. Then you have alpha particle X-ray spectrometer. These were in use, so you should know these names. APXS. It determines the elemental composition of lunar soil and rocks, because this is what rover was going to do, Pragyan rover. Then the third is RAMBA, that is radio anatomy of moon bound hypersensitive ionosphere and atmosphere, that is RAMBA. Now, even if you write this or mention this, it is sufficient. Okay, and very briefly mention why this payload was launched, right? So don't make it more complicated, don't make it more technical. Keep it very simple. This was the third focus in the answer. Then you have the last part. What is the role of Virtual Launch Control Center at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center? Now, this center actually played a very crucial role in the success of this mission. Now, what role did it play? Very simple again. The first role was it acted as a central control system through which the entire mission was controlled. Okay. Then it helped in real-time monitoring of the mission right from the launch to deployment or entering the orbit of the moon. All this real-time monitoring that was done on different ground centers of ISRO was controlled because of this Virtual Launch Control Center. Then you have run safety protocols before the mission, during the mission, running all the safety protocols on all the payloads or the lander and the rover was done with the help of this center. Then seamless communication and coordination amongst different ground stations across India, spread across India. Okay, that is also one important thing, a role that was played by Virtual Launch Control Center. And lastly, to remotely carry out system checkouts on the launch vehicle prior to the mission. Okay, these were the important role that this Virtual Control Center at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center had played in this mission. So this way you can you address all the focuses of the question. Now, when you're concluding the answer, like I said, in the introduction, you've already said things about this mission. Now, what you're supposed to do is how this success of Chandrayaan-3 can help India in making the upcoming missions successful, right? So, the Chandrayaan-3 mission's accomplishment is a testament to ISRO's talents and India's growth in space technology. You're trying to make this more futuristic and positive. End your question on a positive note. Then the knowledge obtained from this mission will assist in future launches, including Shukrayaan, Gaganyaan, and Aditya L1. Aditya L1 is already a success, but all the information, all the experience that we gain from this mission will help us in Shukrayan and Gaganyaan as well. Now, by writing these missions, you're trying to show the examiner that you know other important missions also of the ISRO, which would be undertaken in the near future. Okay, so you're trying to be futuristic. So that is how your conclusion should be. Okay, it should end on a positive note and it should be futuristic. Okay, so that's all from this question. Thank you. Have a nice day.